Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Saaid Arshad. I'm a biomedical engineer working at MIT Lincoln Laboratory, and I am a resident of Groton, Massachusetts.
Thank you. What is that attracts you to Pakistan?
We've grown up being very, very connected to Pakistan. That was a courtesy of you and the mahol you created at home, where we spoke Urdu at home and not just spoke, but we were very consciously learning to read, write, speak, listen, coupled with culturally, you're playing puzzles all the time, the music's always on, you're cooking that kind of food. So there was this kind of innate understanding that we're Pakistani, at least growing up. And it also helped that we went back to Pakistan almost every single year of our lives. And when we lived abroad, we were going even more often, sometimes multiple times a year. So all those things, obviously then you develop some connection with family and friends there, you develop a connection with the place, the culture. We've been very into the music, my brother and I. And so all those things combined, they create some connection, some sense of longing, some sense of positive association with the place, with the culture, with the people. Okay. So I think having that for a large part of our childhood is one of the main reasons why I still yearn for that. I still strive to find that and look for the culture, the people, the music, and whatever I associate with Pakistan.
Okay, nice. Any message that you would like to give to the youth of Pakistan, in Pakistan, and Pakistani Americans?
So to any Pakistani American youth, and this can go to any, I think, first generation immigrant youth, whatever you decide to do in terms of your identity or how you engage in life, and whatever interests you have or hobbies you have, the only thing I would ask is, if you do have some sort of background or some connection to a motherland beyond the United States, I would suggest at least just try to engage with it or understand it in whatever capacity you can. Not everyone is lucky to be able to have the access to the language or to the people, depending on how the parents bring them up, depending on how involved the parents want to be with kind of the home culture. But I think there can be so much beauty in being able to engage in multiple perspectives and multiple cultures, and the richness that brings into one's own life, that at a minimum one should at least try to engage with it, and not give up on it too quickly if possible. Okay. And then for Pakistani youth back home, I honestly am not really qualified to say anything because I've grown up here. I don't understand their struggles, their issues completely. Honestly, I would give a similar message that I think we do have a beautiful history, a beautiful culture within all our diversity in Pakistan. And I think just being grounded in that, knowing what that truly is, without the colonial brainwashing, without internalizing maybe the stories that we may have heard from the colonial masters, and really kind of being able to ground ourselves in the fact that we are something, we have something to offer, and not just offer, just to be, that we can, there's nothing to be ashamed of in terms of who we are, as South Asians, as Pakistanis, as Punjabis, Balochis, Sindhis, Pashtuns, whatever we are.
So you're encouraging everybody to learn about their history, their geography?
Yeah, I guess what I'm really saying is the main thing is just at least engage with your roots and where you come from historically, and just see where that leads you, because for me it's been a very enriching and grounding experience.
So you also did a Urdu program,
although
you knew how to read, write and speak.
Yep.
But I wanted to know, why did you go for that program? Can you briefly say something about the program that you went to Pakistan for? Absolutely.
So the program was called the Berkeley Urdu Language Program in Pakistan, BULPIP, and it was a really nice, fully funded program that basically took a bunch of students from the US to Pakistan to study Urdu full-time at the Lahore University of Management and Sciences, or LUWS. And it was an amazing program. I absolutely loved it. And my main goal with that was I'd been really wanting for a long time to be able to just go to Pakistan on my own terms as a adult,
Not with the parents.
not with the restrictions
with
of the family, and just be able to explore a lot of my interests.
But now he goes, you know.
Yeah,
now
sure.
you are able to do that.
Just being able to go and explore my interests more in depth from the source, right? In the language, culture. I mean, for example, I was able to attend the Fez festival when I was there, and just being able to meet a lot of the academics and the intellectuals who are there engaging in these various fields. I was able to, like, in full depth explore the music scene there, meet different ustads, go to the All Pakistan Music Conference. And then again, as someone who was very interested in his own lineage and his own history and my roots, just being able to go to one of the main cities where, you know, a lot of my family is from, where a lot of the culture that I relate to comes from, and just being able to be there by myself on my own terms and just in a learning environment was something I'd been craving for a very long time. I'd actually been trying to get to Pakistan for some sort of program like that for a few years now. I actually tried applying for this fellowship after undergrad. It didn't work out. So this was a really good opportunity just to go there on my own terms and just see what
did it
happens.
do for you?
At a very basic level, I think my Urdu got much better in terms of my vocabulary, in terms of my speaking and writing skills, my speed, my comprehension. For example, if the headlines are going by super fast on one of the news channels, those banners, I can keep up with those now, at least much better than I could.
And also, you know how to type it now, right?
Yeah, actually, because
that's
I wrote an entire report in Urdu. I can type quite fluently in Urdu as well, which is a really nice thing. And I text in Urdu sometimes. So these are just my own ways of keeping engaged with it, and it keeps me immersed and fluent in the language, and then allows me to also then further access, you know, maybe higher level literature such as poetry and, you know, a lot of our great writers, whether it's Manto or, you know, Fez Ahmed Fez or whoever. So I mean, that was one of the main things that came out of it. I developed amazing connections, wonderful friends. I was able to learn a few more different instruments, bansuri, and I was able to try out some different teachers for singing, for example. So in terms of all my cultural and art interests, I was able to really just actualize exploring whatever I wanted to. But the biggest thing was my Urdu got significantly better. I was just immersed in it. I learned how to count properly from 1 to 100. Learned how to use a dictionary properly. Just a lot of those kinds of skills came out of it that really helped give me the skills I would need for my own independent, lifelong engagement with Urdu literature and poetry and music and art.
Do you find people in Pakistan different than Pakistani Americans here, or first or second generation?
Absolutely. I mean, you find just differences amongst Pakistani Americans from community to community, state to state, and same thing in Pakistan. I mean, it's really hard to draw any sort of main generalizations. You may find trends, for example, in terms of how, for example, Miss Marvel recently came out. Pakistani Americans' response to it is very different from Pakistanis who are living in Pakistan. So there's those kinds of maybe larger scale patterns you can see, but it's really hard to narrow down, oh, this is like the main
There's nothing good or
characteristics.
bad about it. It's just a difference.
No, it's just different. I feel like growing up in general, you see that there's often a value associated with being more connected to or more associated with the motherland. And for some people, it's the opposite. The more you can distance yourself, the better. And that's often like that influence from the parents, maybe, or from the family. This is not in the kids' control who are growing up here or there. I mean, it's an interesting fact, like, my Urdu was better than some of the kids at LUWS, which is a very weird thing.
Yeah,
but,
that was a difference.
And initially I was judging them very hard for it, but then should one do that? Can one do that? When you look at all the other forces at play, it's a hard thing to maintain any culture, any language, and it takes a lot of intentionality and effort and energy to do that. And unless one really feels like it's worth doing, people aren't going to do it. So, but so there are those kinds of differences. But again, it's unless maybe one is a very, focused and intentional sociological or anthropological study of the two different groups of people, it'd be hard to come up with any meaningful comparisons.
Thank you so much. So, Assalamu alaikum ji. میرا نام شوا ہے اور میں یہاں پہ ایک بڑی اسپیشل گیسٹ کے ساتھ بیٹھی ہوئی ہوں جو اب اردو میں پاکستان کی 75ویں سالگرہ کے حوالے سے ایک پیغام دینا چاہیں گے، اور یہ اسی سیریز کا حصہ ہے جو ہم نے بوسٹن کے پاکستانی امیگرینٹس اور پاکستانیوں کے انٹرویوز کر کے اکٹھی کی ہے، کمبائن کی ہے۔ یہ یہاں کے بورن براٹ اپ ہیں اور آپ ان کی اردو بھی سن سکتے ہیں، اور ان سے جب ہم یہ چھوٹا سا کلپ آپ دیکھ لیں تو اگر آپ ان سے کچھ اور پوچھنا چاہیں جو پاکستانی جوان لوگ ہیں پاکستان میں یا پاکستانی امریکہ میں جو ینگ لوگ ہیں، اگر آپ ان سے رابطہ کرنا چاہیں یا پوچھنا چاہیں کہ بھئی آپ نے کیسے یہ اپنی اردو رکھی، یا کیوں آپ رکھتے ہیں، آپ امریکہ میں رہتے ہیں ہم تو نہیں اردو بولتے، یا وٹ ایور جو بھی آپ کے کویشچن ہوں، تو اس کے علاوہ ہم ان سے پوچھتے ہیں کہ جی پاکستان کی 75ویں سالگرہ کے حوالے سے یہ کوئی پیغام دینا چاہیں گے؟ تو پہلے جی آپ اپنا تعارف کروائیں کہ آپ کون ہیں اور آپ کیا کرتے ہیں۔
جی بالکل، بہت بہت شکریہ۔ السلام علیکم، میرا نام سعید حسیب ارشد ہے۔ میں ابھی MIT لیبٹن لیبارٹری میں بایو میڈیکل انجینئر کے پوزیشن میں کام کر رہا ہوں، اور میں یہاں پہ گرانٹن میساچیوسیٹس میں رہتا ہوں۔ اور جو میں پیغام دینا چاہتا ہوں بس یہی ہے کہ ایک تو بہت میں دعائیں کرتا ہوں کہ سب کو پاکستان میں اور بر صغیر میں خاص طور پہ خوشی ملے، کامیابی ہو ہر چیز میں، اور کہ ہمارے ملکوں کے لیے خاص طور پہ بہتری ہو لوگوں کے حالات میں، کہ اتنی جو عام انسان کی زندگی ابھی جو لگتا ہے مشکل رہتی ہے وہ آسان ہو، وہ بہتر ہو، اور کہ لوگ میں ایک وہ رحمت آئے اور ایک وہ پیار آئے جو ہم وطنوں کے لیے جو بہتری چاہتے ہیں، یعنی کہ بس سب کو اپنی اپنی لگی ہوئی ہے، اور کہ اور اس حوالے سے
سوری
کہ لوگ اپنی خود غرضی کے چکر میں دوسروں کو نہ نقصان پہنچائیں، کہ دوسروں کی بہتری کے بارے میں سوچ کر اس پر عمل کریں تاکہ سب کے لیے زندگی بہتر ہو، صرف اپنے لیے زندگی نہ بہتر ہو۔ اور یہ چیز صرف وہاں پہ نہیں، یہاں پہ بھی تعلق رکھتی ہے۔
تو یہاں پہ بھی لائک امریکہ کی بات کریں،
ہاں پوری دنیا میں یہ مسئلہ ہوا ہے میرے خیال میں، لیکن ہمارے یہاں خاص طور پہ جب اتنے سامنے ہوتا ہے کہ کتنا ایک مشکل ہوئی ہوئی زندگی سب کے لیے، اب ابھی انفلیشن کا دیکھ لیں یا ابھی سیاسی حالات دیکھ لیں، اقتصادی حالات دیکھ لیں، تو سب کی وجہ سے زندگی مشکل اچھا ہی لگتا ہے۔
ایک عام انسان کے لیے جو زندگی اجیرن ہوئی ہوئی ہے وہ بہتر ہونی چاہیے
انشاءاللہ۔
تو آپ لوگ اس کے لیے کوشش کر رہے ہیں آپ کے خیال میں، جوان لوگ؟
بالکل، میرے خیال میں بہت لوگوں کی نیت بہت اچھی ہوتی ہے اور کوشش کرتے ہیں کہ کام بہت اچھا کریں۔ آپ TCF کا کام دیکھ لیں، آپ شوکت خانم کا کام دیکھ لیں، آپ یہاں کے جو بھی PSAs ہیں یا MSAs ہیں ان کے اسٹوڈنٹ آرگنائزیشنس کو آپ دیکھ لیں، تو وہاں پہ بہت زبردست پروجیکٹس ایونٹس کام ہو رہے ہوتے ہیں۔ نیت سب کی بہت اچھی ہوتی ہے، بس اب شاید مشکل بات یہ ہے کہ آپ ایک لارجر اسکیل پہ ان چیزوں کو کیسے کر سکتے ہیں، اور کہ
اخوت سے کیسے آگے چلیں،
شاید اخوت سے کیسے، اور کہ یہ بھی نہیں کہ شاید ہماری زندگی میں وہ تبدیلی آئے، لیکن ہر بندہ اپنے اپنے مقام پر اپنے جگہ میں کیسے مدد کر سکتے ہیں۔ ہم اپنی زندگی میں پیسے کے ذریعے ہو، وقت کے ذریعے ہو، جو بھی ہم تھوڑی بہت کوشش کر سکتے ہیں اپنے بس میں جو بھی ہے، اس لحاظ سے۔
بہت شکریہ آپ کا۔ امید ہے کہ باقی یوتھ اور ینگ لوگ پاکستان میں اور پاکستانی امریکنز، میرا خیال ہے یہ بھی ہو سکتا ہوگا کہ وہاں کے یوتھ اور یہاں کے یوتھ کنیکشن کریں اور ایک دوسرے سے سیکھیں، اور وہاں کے جو چیزیں جیسے آپ کہہ رہے تھے کہ آپ کو نہیں ایگزیکٹلی پتہ ان کی کیا کاوشیں ہیں، اسٹرگلز ہیں، تو آپ کو اگر رابطے میں خیر آپ ہوتے ہوں گے اپنے دوست احباب کے تھرو۔
یہ نہیں کہ مجھے پتہ نہیں ہے، لیکن میں ان کے لیے میں کوئی ایڈوائس نہیں اس سے دے سکتا کہ ان کے لیے وہ
کیا کریں
ریلیونٹ ہو۔ شاید میری یہاں پہ زندگی ہے مختلف ہے، جو لوگ پاکستان سے آتے ہیں ان کے اپنے اپنے مسئلے ہوتے ہیں، اپنے چیزیں۔
صحیح ہے جی، چلیں جی، بہت شکریہ آپ کے وقت کا، آپ کی باتوں کا، بہت اچھا لگا، بہت مزہ آیا۔ اسی طرح رہیں، خوش رہیں، اور انشاءاللہ ہم پھر سے آپ سے بات کریں۔